Hey guys, John Stamos here, the Renaissance Garden Guy here in my Zone 5B 6A garden, talking about doing some deadheading. What we're going to deadhead today is Salvia and Veronica. Salvia or meadow sage and Veronica, speedwell. They grow flowers in similar fashion, kind of, flower stalks and spikes, and they pretty much bloom out and bud out the same way. So we treat them the same way when we deadhead them. I'm going to show you how I do it. And of course, the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we've got pruners and that they're sharp, because you'll end up just causing a whole crap ton of problems if you've used dull pruners. And you also want to make sure they're disinfected. You know how I do it? I give the blades a little rub down with rubbing alcohol, and I do that before and after every plant. So you don't want to spread weird fungal diseases or bacteria or microbes of any kind. So we got our pruners. I'm here, the sun's out, we got plenty of Veronica and Salvia to work on, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Be back in a sec. Okay guys, what we're looking at here is a Veronica. It's a speedwell. This is Veronica Royal Candles. Really pretty blue flowers, but when we're looking at these things, you can see how a lot of them, they're already greened and browned out here at the bottom, and they're just kind of still pretty at the tips. You can kind of waste those things, get rid of them, because you'll get new growth. Some of these are completely brown or green, and if they are, that means that they're spent, and you can get rid of those too. So what I'm going to do, because what we want to do, people are under the misconception that these things only bloom, maybe once and then they're done, but you can keep these things blooming all summer. So I'm going to try to get in here real close and show you. You look here, like a salvia, this thing has got a main stem. I'm going to try to point that out to you. Main stem is right there in the middle. Put the pruners on it. And then it's got two side shoots. Now a lot of times the main stem is the one that craps out first. So you can go ahead and cut that one. We're going to do that. See what I'm doing? Here's the main stem. It's crapped out pretty much, so let's snip it. Snip it right here, right just beyond where the two side shoots are. I'm trying to show that to you. There we go. Done. Alright, so we cut that main stem, but if you look really carefully, right here, let me get this into focus for you, there's a new little flower stalk and some buds. So we're not going to cut this whole main stem off. These side stems are starting to crap out. So let's cut this one. Done. This one's still got a little color to it, so we're going to leave that. Okay, so here we are when I'm in the middle of pruning a Veronica Royal Candles. Real pretty. Speedwell. You can see I've already lopped a bunch of them off. And for starters, you want to look for flower. This flower spike here, it's all kind of greenish brown. That's a dead soldier. We want to get him out of there. And also, these guys that are brown on the bottom but have color at the tips, they're on their way out. Don't confuse those with something like this. See this guy right here? He's got color on the bottom and he's still budding out. That's a good bloom. You don't want to cut that one. Cut the ones that are opposite. Color on top, brown on the bottom, cut. Color on the bottom, brown or kind of green on top, save. Don't cut those. So, where do you want to cut? What I do, I'm going to follow, let's look at this stem right here. We're going to follow, both of these are pretty much spent. So I'm going to follow them right down, and if you look really closely in there, there's a new little bud starting right under my fingernail there. So we want to leave that guy in place. So what we'll do is we'll cut right above that point. So let's move this over. Okay, you see these two dead ones? I've got them. I got my pruners in place to cut those two stems, and we're going to leave the little healthy one. Tough to see. Boom. Cut. And if we look, That little healthy one's still in place. You're just going to want to follow these spikes down. They grow the same way that salvia do. They'll have a main stem and then they'll have a couple of side shoots. And these are all bad, so what you can do with all three of them is just follow the whole thing down, all three of them, to right where they branch, right below where they branch, which is right there. Can you see that? All three of them, follow them down, cut them right there. Boom. So that's pretty much how you take care of Veronica, getting rid of the old blooms and encouraging new growth. Like I said, these things, a lot of people are under the misconception that they bloom only once and they're done. That's not true. You can keep these things blooming all the way through frost, right up until it gets cold and frost covers the ground, by deadheading. Because what this is going to do, it's going to encourage new growth. It's going to encourage nodes and more flower stems, more flower stalks. And you do that with Veronica, and you'll have flowers all summer and spring. So our next step is to take care of a salvia. Again, it's almost the same thing as a Veronica, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a bit. Okay, gang, here's a salvia, meadow sage. Kind of grows the same way that Veronica does. I'm not going to cut this because I just deadheaded this not too long ago, and there's a whole bunch of fresh new flowers, but I'm going to show you a really good way to do it. So what you see, let's find a good example. Okay, this is a new stalk, a new flower spike in my fingers here. I'm not going to cut it because, like I said, it's fresh. There's a couple of spots where you can cut this. Now, if you follow that stem all the way down to the first pair of leaves, you're going to see a node right there. That node is going to create a new flower stem and flower stalk and flower spike. So we would cut this right above this node. Now, another place to cut it, if you wanted to, this is a main stem, and you can see down here, follow this down, it's going to have two side shoots here. You could also cut it here because these side shoots are also going to they're going to also produce a flower stem and flower stalk and flower spike. So you're going to have spikes coming out of here and here. So you could cut it right here, or you can cut it right here. You just kind of want to look for spots where new things, you can see where new things are going to grow. We know something new is going to grow here because we can see a node. We know we're going to see new growth down here because we see two leaf stems, and at the base of those leaf stems is going to be a node. So that's how you cut and deadhead salvia. Easy peasy. Now we're jumping back to the Veronica. This is what the Veronica snow candles looks like after it's been deadheaded. You see, this flower, they bloom from the bottom. They open from the bottom. So those are good. We want to leave those. And you can see all the fresh little green guys that have yet to open. These are all new flowers. And what we've done by removing those old spent flower spikes, we've allowed more growth to appear at these nodes and produce more flowers. So in another couple of weeks, this thing should be covered in more blue flower spikes. And the same principle works for salvia. Here's the salvia. Again, this was successfully deadheaded several weeks ago, and because I cut it in all the right spots, you can see all this new growth. So deadheading works. Salvias and Veronicas, contrary to popular belief, do not bloom only once. You can keep them blooming all season long. So there you have it. Salvias, meadow sage, Veronica, speedwell. Now you know how to deadhead them, and you know that you should deadhead them. So there you have it, gang. Another successful installment of the Renaissance Garden Guy YouTube channel. Now you know how to deadhead, and you know that you should deadhead Veronica, speedwell, and salvia, meadow sage. And that's about it for today. I'll catch you next time. John, the Renaissance Garden Guy, over and out.